Most people grow up with the idea that respect is something others are simply supposed to give us. But the truth is, respect is not automatic. It's a response. It's the energy you project, the way you carry yourself, the standards you silently set. When a man meets a woman, his instinct isn't just to decide if he's attracted to her. It's also to subconsciously measure how she values herself. That's what determines how he treats her going forward. If the energy she gives off says, "I don't need to prove my worth to you," it sets the tone for how the interaction unfolds. Respect doesn't start with a demand, it starts with presence. Think about the difference between someone who walks into a room trying to get everyone to like them and someone who walks in already knowing their value. The first person adjusts their behavior to get validation. The second person simply allows others to notice them without chasing anyone's approval. The difference is subtle but powerful. Men pick up on that. When a woman operates from a place of self-worth, she doesn't over-explain, over-justify, or overcompensate. She's not trying to prove she's worthy of his attention. She knows she already is. And ironically, that's exactly what makes him respect her. Respect isn't about arrogance or coldness. It's not about putting up a wall or acting uninterested. It's about understanding that your time, energy, and attention have value. If you treat them like they're scarce and precious, others will follow that lead. But if you hand them out to anyone, anytime, without discernment, people will naturally start taking them for granted. It's the same principle as anything in life. The rarer and more valued something is, the more carefully it's treated. When a woman starts interactions with the mindset of, "I'm evaluating whether this person deserves my energy," everything shifts. She's no longer waiting to be chosen. She's choosing. She's not anxiously waiting for a text. She's living her life fully. And if someone reaches out, she responds on her terms. She's not rearranging her entire schedule for a last-minute invitation. She's honoring her commitments and expecting others to respect her time too. This doesn't come from playing games. It comes from genuinely believing that your life is full, meaningful, and worth protecting. Men naturally respect women who operate this way because it signals emotional maturity. It says, "I have boundaries, I have a life, and I'm not going to abandon myself just to gain your attention." That's rare, and anything rare captures attention and earns respect. When a woman gives off the vibe that she knows her worth, a man either steps up to match it or quietly removes himself. And that's exactly what you want. Because the wrong man won't respect what you don't respect in yourself, and the right man will rise to meet the standard you've set. It all begins with that inner decision to stop chasing approval and start radiating value. That's the foundation upon which every other rule is built. If you don't embody self-respect first, setting boundaries later will feel forced. But when self-respect is already part of your energy, boundaries come naturally. You won't need to convince anyone to treat you well. They'll sense it from the very beginning. Respect isn't asked for. It's inspired. And when you project that quiet confidence, the right kind of man won't just notice you. He'll hold himself to a higher standard around you. That's the power of the energy you bring into every interaction. There's a big difference between demanding respect and communicating standards in a way that naturally earns it. Many people believe that the only way to get someone to take you seriously is by being loud, forceful, or confrontational. But real influence doesn't come from aggression. It comes from calm clarity. When a woman communicates her standards without anger, without trying to control, but with a quiet sense of certainty, it has a completely different impact. Men don't respect rules that are shouted at them. They respect boundaries that are calmly and consistently lived by. Imagine a situation where a man cancels plans last minute, and instead of sending an angry message or pretending it's fine, she simply responds in a composed way. "I was looking forward to seeing you. I value people who respect my time, so let's try again another time. If you're serious, no drama. No begging, no long explanation, just clear, confident communication. That kind of response immediately shows him that she's not here to play games, but she's also not here to fight. She's showing him through her words and energy what she expects. And people respect what is communicated with strength, not with desperation. When someone knows what they want and expresses it calmly, it sends a signal: I don't need you to agree with me for my standard to exist. This is powerful because it removes the emotional tug of war. Instead of trying to change someone, she's simply stating how she moves through the world. If he fits into that, great. If he doesn't, she's not trying to force it. Men pick up on this emotional composure quickly. It shows self-assuredness. It shows that her standards aren't negotiable depending on who she likes. They're consistent. The truth is, many women hesitate to express their standards because they're afraid of scaring someone away. So they soften their expectations, avoid uncomfortable conversations, or act indifferent to things that actually bother them. But here's the catch: when you stay silent, you don't avoid the outcome, you just delay it. If someone is not willing to meet your standards, staying quiet won't make them respect you more. It'll just make them think you don't have any. On the other hand, calmly expressing what matters to you acts like a filter. It doesn't chase people away. It reveals who's aligned and who isn't. Communicating standards effectively isn't about lecturing someone or listing rules like a contract. It's about weaving them naturally into your interactions. For example, if a man consistently takes days to respond, you don't need to give him a speech. You simply stop prioritizing him in the same way. If he asks why you seem less available, that's your moment to say, I like engaging with people who are more consistent. That's just how I build connections. Straightforward. Honest. No emotional overload. The beauty of calm communication is that it's often more powerful than any ultimatum. Ultimatums usually come from fear. Fear of being disrespected again. Fear of losing someone. Fear of not being heard. But calm communication comes from self-worth. It says, I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not afraid to walk away if it's not respected. That tone changes everything. It immediately shifts the dynamic from trying to control someone's behavior to simply expressing your reality and letting them make their choice. When a man sees that you can express what you expect without anger or insecurity, it earns his respect on a deeper level. It shows emotional intelligence, self-control, and strength. Those are qualities people instinctively take seriously. And when this kind of communication becomes consistent, it forms the backbone of mutual respect in any relationship. It's not about scaring someone into treating you well. It's about setting the tone so clearly that they know exactly where you stand. And if they want to be part of your life, they'll rise to meet it. One of the biggest mistakes many women make in the early stages of a connection is giving too much, too soon. It often comes from a genuine place, a desire to show care, to build something meaningful, or to prove their value. But what ends up happening is that they start over, investing emotionally, mentally, and even physically before the other person has earned that level of access. This creates an imbalance, and imbalance never commands respect. Men instinctively value what they work for, not what's handed over too easily. When a woman matches effort instead of overextending herself, it sends a clear signal that her time and energy are precious. Over-investment can show up in subtle ways. It's not always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's texting first all the time, rearranging plans to be available at a moment's notice, constantly checking in, or emotionally attaching to someone who hasn't shown consistent effort yet. It's giving them priority status in your life when, in reality, they've only given you fragments of theirs. When someone senses that you're fully invested before they've truly earned it, the dynamic shifts. Instead of mutual growth, it becomes one-sided, and one-sided effort rarely leads to lasting respect. Men tend to respect women who have the emotional awareness to pace their investment. That doesn't mean playing hard to get or acting indifferent. It simply means giving based on what's being reciprocated. If he's making time, she makes time. If he's showing consistency, she gradually opens up more. It's like a dance where both partners move in rhythm rather than one person doing all the steps while the other watches. This pacing builds a sense of value and clarity. It communicates, I give where I see genuine effort, not where I hope for it. When a woman invests too much too early, it can actually create pressure rather than attraction. It can make the other person feel like they're being pulled into a dynamic they haven't signed up for yet. But when she holds her emotional energy with care, it creates a sense of mystery and balance. He knows that if he wants a deeper place in her life, he has to earn it through consistency, honesty, and presence. And that's exactly what drives respect. Earning something rather than being passively handed it. There's also an internal benefit to pacing your investment. When you don't rush to give your all, you give yourself the space to observe someone's character clearly. You're not clouded by your own emotional attachment. You're able to see how they respond when things aren't convenient, how they handle communication, and whether their actions align with their words. This clarity helps you make smarter choices, not emotional ones. It's not about holding back love. It's about being intentional with where you place it. Many people confuse withholding effort with manipulation, but this isn't about playing games. It's about emotional self-respect. It's saying, I don't give everything to someone just because I like them. I give as they show up. That creates a dynamic of equality rather than desperation. It shows that your love and attention are valuable gifts, not bargaining chips. When a man sees that you're not over-investing prematurely, it communicates strength. It shows that you have a full life, strong boundaries, and emotional discipline. It also sets a natural standard. If he wants a deeper connection, he has to meet you halfway. And if he doesn't, you're not left depleted because you didn't give away more than what was reciprocated. The truth is, relationships built on balanced investment tend to have stronger foundations. Respect grows when two people slowly build trust and closeness together. By not over-investing before it's mutual, you're not just protecting your heart, you're inspiring respect by showing that you know your worth. You're not chasing validation, you're creating a dynamic where both people contribute equally. And that's exactly the kind of dynamic where genuine respect thrives. There comes a point in every connection where boundaries are tested, whether intentionally or not. It might be through repeated cancellations, disrespectful behavior, inconsistent effort, or emotional neglect. In these moments, how a woman responds says more about her self-worth than anything she could ever say. One of the most powerful ways to command respect is by being willing to walk away when boundaries are crossed. Not through yelling, not through emotional manipulation, but through calm, decisive action. When someone sees that you are capable of detaching from what doesn't serve you, it sends a message that resonates more deeply than any speech ever could. Walking away isn't about proving a point. It's about protecting your peace. Many people get caught in cycles of trying to make someone change, explaining the same boundary over and over, or giving endless chances. But when boundaries become negotiable, respect starts to fade. The moment you repeatedly allow someone to disrespect your lines, they learn that those lines aren't real. On the other hand, when you enforce your boundaries by calmly removing yourself from situations where they aren't honored, you teach people that your standards have weight. You're not just saying what you expect, you're living it. Think about how powerful it is when someone doesn't fight for your attention, doesn't beg to be treated right, but simply steps back the moment they see a pattern that doesn't align with their values. That quiet confidence shakes people more than anger ever could. Anger can be dismissed as emotional. Begging can be ignored. But someone who calmly walks away is unforgettable. It shows they have nothing to prove, no fear of being alone, and no tolerance for disrespect. That kind of energy commands attention and respect instantly. Many women fear walking away because they worry it will push someone away permanently. But here's the reality: if walking away because of disrespect makes someone disappear, that's not a loss. It's clarity. It reveals that they were never truly willing to meet your standards in the first place. And if someone is genuinely interested and respects you, walking away doesn't push them away, it wakes them up. It shows them that your words aren't empty, and it gives them the chance to rise to meet the level you've set. The right people are not intimidated by your boundaries. They're drawn to them. Walking away also protects your self-respect. Every time you stay in a situation where your boundaries are repeatedly crossed, a small part of your self-worth erodes. You start doubting yourself, making excuses for their behavior, or hoping that your patience will make them change. But walking away reinforces to yourself that you are worthy of better. It's not just a message to them, it's a powerful reminder to you. It strengthens your identity, your confidence, and your emotional stability. The key is doing it without drama. Drama often comes from pain, from wanting to be seen or validated. But true power comes from quiet certainty. You don't need to make speeches or prove how hurt you are. You simply act. Your actions speak for you. When someone disrespects your boundary, you create distance. When a pattern repeats, you remove your presence. No arguments, no threats, just clarity. Men respect women who can walk away without needing the other person to validate their decision. It shows strength, independence, and emotional maturity. It communicates that your worth isn't dependent on someone staying, it's inherent. And ironically, it's often this very ability to walk away that makes the right kind of man step forward more seriously. Because deep down, respect grows when someone knows they can't take you for granted. In the end, walking away isn't about punishment. It's about alignment. It's choosing to stand firmly by your values rather than clinging to someone who doesn't honor them. When you live this way, you don't have to demand respect. You inspire it through action, clarity, and unwavering self-worth. Respect is never just about how someone else treats you. It's also about the environment you create through your actions, your presence, and your standards. One of the most powerful ways to inspire lasting respect is by living in a way that reflects the value you place on yourself. When a woman builds a full, meaningful life that doesn't revolve around someone else's attention, it naturally shifts how others treat her. She becomes someone who brings energy into a room, not someone waiting for energy to be given to her. This self-sufficiency doesn't mean she's closed off, it means she's whole, and that wholeness is magnetic. Many people, without realizing it, make the mistake of placing their entire sense of happiness and purpose on another person. Their mood depends on whether he texted back, whether he made time for them, whether the relationship feels stable. But when your emotional world is that fragile, it becomes easy for someone to unintentionally control your state of mind. Respect starts to slip because the other person senses that your world revolves around theirs. When a woman has her own passions, routines, social circle, and goals, it communicates something entirely different. It says, I enjoy having you here, but my life is beautiful with or without you. That subtle energy commands a deeper level of respect because it shows strength and independence. The truth is, people are drawn to those who have purpose. Think about someone who speaks passionately about their work, their hobbies, their dreams. They have a spark that makes them attractive beyond surface-level interaction. When a woman lives with that kind of spark, she isn't waiting for someone to complete her. She's inviting someone to join her journey. And when a man sees that, it shifts how he approaches her. He doesn't feel like he's being asked to be her entire world. He feels like he's being offered a place in something already meaningful. That's powerful. Living a full life also gives you emotional leverage. It means that if someone doesn't meet your standards or shows inconsistency, you're not emotionally trapped. You have the strength to step back, not from bitterness, but from confidence. You know that your happiness isn't hanging by a thread, so you make decisions from clarity, not fear. This emotional independence is incredibly attractive. It shows that you're not seeking validation. You're sharing your life. There's another layer to this. When you invest in your own life, you become more discerning. You don't tolerate inconsistency or disrespect easily because your time is already occupied by meaningful things. You're not waiting by the phone, you're building something. And when someone enters that space, they immediately understand they have to bring value to match what you already have. That natural standard setting doesn't require words. It happens through your lifestyle, your boundaries, and your energy. This kind of self-respect doesn't push people away. It draws the right ones closer. Men are instinctively drawn to women who have their own center of gravity. It creates a dynamic of equality rather than dependency. He knows that he's with someone who chooses him, not someone who needs him to feel whole. That distinction is everything when it comes to respect. Building a full life isn't about being so busy that you have no room for anyone. It's about living intentionally. It's about showing through your actions that you prioritize your growth, your joy, and your peace. Whether it's your career, fitness, hobbies, friendships, or personal development, every area you invest in becomes part of the strong foundation you stand on. And from that foundation, you can love freely without losing yourself. When a man witnesses that strength, it doesn't intimidate him, it sets the tone. It shows that being part of your world is a privilege, not a right. It shifts the dynamic from chasing to mutual pursuit, from proving yourself to simply being valued. That's where respect truly takes root. Because at the end of the day, people respect what is already respected. And when you treat your life like something valuable, others will follow your lead. Respect is, at its core, a mirror. People reflect back to you the way you treat yourself. If you consistently honor your boundaries, value your time, and live with self-worth, others instinctively respond to that energy. If you constantly compromise, give, or tolerate disrespect, that gets mirrored too. Men, like anyone else, take cues from the standard you set for yourself. When a woman embodies self-respect, it creates a ripple effect that influences how she's treated in every interaction. She doesn't have to demand respect. It naturally returns to her because she's already modeling it. Everything comes back to how you show up for yourself. When you act like your feelings matter, when you follow through on your words, and when you don't allow anyone to repeatedly cross your lines, you send a clear message. This is how I treat me, and I expect nothing less from you. That message doesn't have to be spoken directly. It's felt through consistency. Over time, people either rise to meet that standard or quietly fall away, and either outcome is a win because it keeps your environment clean, authentic, and respectful. Many people try to build respect by changing others, by lecturing, convincing, or forcing someone to behave differently. But that rarely works in the long run. Sustainable respect happens when you focus on your own behavior, not theirs. You can't control how someone shows up, but you can control how you respond. And your response is what sets the tone. If someone sees that your boundaries are flexible depending on how much you like them, they'll mirror that inconsistency. But if they see that your standards hold firm no matter the circumstances, it commands a different kind of respect. Think about how powerful it is when a woman doesn't bend out of fear of losing someone. Instead, she stands rooted in her values. She's kind, warm, and open, but she doesn't lose herself to keep someone else. That balance of softness and strength is magnetic. It communicates that her self-respect isn't situational, it's her foundation. And men respect that deeply because it shows stability, confidence, and emotional intelligence. Respect as a mirror also means you have to be mindful of the subtle ways you treat yourself. Do you honor your own words? Do you keep promises to yourself? Do you make time for your growth, or do you constantly push yourself aside for others? Because how you treat yourself behind closed doors eventually becomes the energy you bring into every relationship. If you consistently neglect your needs, it's hard to expect others to prioritize them. But when you model self-respect daily, it sets an unspoken rule that others naturally follow. It's also important to remember that respect isn't about perfection. No one gets it right all the time. It's about consistency over time. Even when emotions are strong, even when attraction is high, self-respect means choosing yourself enough to stay aligned with your values. And that doesn't push people away. It filters out those who aren't meant to stay while drawing closer those who recognize and value your strength. In every healthy dynamic, respect goes both ways. When you lead with self-respect, you give others a clear reflection of what healthy interaction looks like. It's not about control, it's about leadership through example. A woman who respects herself deeply teaches others how to treat her simply by being consistent. She doesn't need to repeat the same boundary over and over because her actions do the talking. She doesn't need to demand more effort because she naturally inspires it. When men encounter that kind of presence, they respond differently. They're more thoughtful with their words, more intentional with their actions, and more aware of their behavior. They know they're dealing with someone who values herself, and that awareness shifts everything. Respect doesn't have to be chased. It's reflected back to you when you live in a way that shows you truly value who you are.